China Uber Alice is brought to you in part by Sushi Market Sprouts on 7th in Santa Cruz and Kaito in the Capitola Mall Food Court. Treat yourself to the finest Japanese cuisine you'll find anywhere with fresh sushi to go and delicious ramen dinners. Sushi Market Sprouts and Kaito. Yum! Seven minutes past 2 o'clock. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to China Uber Alice here on AM 1080 KSCO. I'm Bill Graff, along with my guest, Nan Su, a senior reporter from the Epoch Times, and Amy Howe, who is a survivor of the re-education camps of the Cultural Revolution in China under Chairman Mao. We have a great program for you today. We're going to ask some pretty hard questions, I think. Let's check in with Nan and Amy. Well, I'm looking forward to Amy's story, of course. Okay. Amy's in the studio with us today, which is great. Hi, Amy. How you doing?
Very good. Excellent.
Good. Nan, we're going to talk about some interesting things. We're going to throw out a question in our second hour about China. Why is China threatening to nuke Japan? And I don't know if that's an actual direct threat, but it sure seems like that's what they're aiming for.
Well, in these past couple of weeks, there were plenty of activities going on in the Pacific Ring.
Yeah.
First of all, a lot of media reporting that the Chinese military has engaged plenty of military activities in those man-made islands in the South China Sea. And also, there's a bunch of articles as well as video clips being put out by Chinese media and internet users in China, talking about they are going to nuke Japan, and the only reason for them to do that was really because Japanese defense minister openly claimed at the end of last month, saying that they're going to help Taiwan to defend itself. So now all of a sudden, all the choirs coming and people talking about they're going to nuke Japan. So we have special guest Jennifer Zeng. If you remember her, she's the host of popular YouTube channel Inconvenient Truth, Jennifer Zeng. So we're going to talk to her about that. And of course, before we jump in all that discussions, we're going to first listen to Amy's story. Amy spent more than a decade of time in the re-education camp during the Cultural Revolution under Chairman Mao. So, Amy, what are you going to bring us today?
Just before she starts, I want to point out that every time Amy's told a story on this program, every single time, then we launch into a discussion about what's going on with China and various aspects of what's happening. Every single time she does a story, the story comes back around to what we're talking about. It's amazing. Anyway, you have the floor, Amy.
Okay. Since the last Father's Day, I posted the video memories of father. So I reconnect with some of my friends. I think a total about 4 girls and 1 boy. And my old classmate and some old neighbor, childhood friends. And so they all asked me to tell their father's story. Because those people, this 5 of them, they all grew up without the father. And so I said, yes, I would, after I finish my father's story, I will tell you guys' story, definitely promise. They know I'm doing this radio program. And so I said, I want you to write the details, as detailed as you can. So today I will tell the story, the girl. And so she wrote, I had to translate it in English. So she said, those things happened 55 years ago, have been in the past for many years, and they have never been described in such detail. Somehow today, all come up. He said, probably because I just watched the Schindler's List again, the movie. He said, I have always felt that people actually consider two major issues in their lives, love and hate, and the life and the death. All other issues are depend on those two major things. In particular, life and death, their coming and going, cannot be controlled by us. We have no dominate this short period of time between life and death. So live it and live it well. However, it is not easy for a person to live with dignity and to die with dignity. So now I tell about her father's story. And I met her, she was a little girl, she's my neighbor, but not same building we live in, but just close by the other building. And in that time I was at elementary school, and I played the ping pong. And all the Chinese kids play ping pong because we don't have other, facility to do other sports. So ping pong is very popular. So I representing my team, so have 5 people from this elementary school. She representing her school. So we always had competed, and after that we shaking hands. She's the last one, I always the last one, so we always shaking together. So then one day I walk home and I found out that she just lived nearby another building. So she said, maybe we can play ping pong, not just compete, just play, practice. I said, yeah, that's a good idea. So we become a friend. And then I during the Cultural Revolution, I knew, they say that her father was suicide, but I really don't know the details because we never get a chance to talk about the details. And interesting enough is eventually when I left China, even before that, and people say they moved away, and then she becoming an actress, movie actress. And I left China, she became very famous. She did a couple of movies with big hit, and talking about the Cultural Revolution, the period that people had a little bit of, in China, that period they allow you to talk about, but just a little bit, touch the surface, not really deep. And then after all, and it's kind of bothering me, they said that she just give up everything because she's beautiful woman, really, good, famous movie star, and then she wanted to be a nun. And she did. She went to a temple, the Buddhist temple. She just
dropped out,
yeah. So this time I reconnected with her. We didn't talk about those things. She said, I asked her, why you want to, give up everything in a normal life. People with, you be famous and watched by lots of people and all kind of things you looking forward. Why you just think it's enough, right? And she didn't really answer. So if I know, Buddhist, I know that, I studied that. If I know early, I say, I not even get married. She was married and divorced, So it means that she was just, So I think a lot to do with maybe her childhood. And she said yes. I think that was back 55 years ago, 1966. And she's 2 years younger than me. And so I think probably that I was 13 and she probably 11 or something like that age. And one day she was at home with the grandma and her sister and waiting for the mother to come home. But it was so late, probably 10 o'clock, mother's not home, and she fell. 11 years old little girl fell, something happened. And but she asked her grandma. Grandma said, "You go to bed. Don't think about that." But she said that she just couldn't go to bed, because just waiting for the mother. The mother coming, and with her clothes was wet, and was very cold that night. That's what the recently she wrote. I want her to read every details. And then they have left her some fried rice for the mother. And she took it, just probably a bite, and then she just put away. And then she said, oh, girls, she said, they go to bed. Just put she and her younger sister to bed. And then she couldn't sleep. She just wake up and wanted to know what's really happened. So when they went to bed, and the mother come back and talk to the grandma, and she started crying, and she said, he's dead. It means her father.
The father.
Yeah, he's dead. So the grandma said, how did you know? She said, they told me. I went to the place he worked, but they said that they took him his body into the crematory. And so she went there, and she asked the person at the door, he said, is that the person was inside? I want to see the last time. I brought some clothes. And then that person said, no, you cannot see him. And because they said you had to denounce him in the public. Right now it's at 9. You cannot do that. And so she's standing, in the ring. It was cold and rain. That's why her clothes are wet. And they still don't let her in. And then she coming back. So she told her mother, say her husband dead, but cannot see the last time. And but they say that the guy at the door and the doorman and told her, say that they're not gonna cremate today. He said probably tomorrow. Say, why don't you ask other people? He said, what other people? He said, like your kid. Do you have a kid? He said, I have a daughter. He said that people do that. If kids coming, they not let kids to see, but that they will take the stuff. Because they're not going to make a kids to denounce or anything. Yeah. So anyway, so she was in the bed. I'm talking to my friend. I had to say her name is the Rainbow. And she was in bed. She heard everything. And so the mother come into her room and said, how can you still not sleep? He said, I can't sleep. I know everything. I heard everything. And then the mother said, okay. Then said, tomorrow you go. This is the father's clothes. You just take the clothes. And she said, okay. She, all of a sudden, for that moment, she said, she probably 11 years old. So all of a sudden, she become a doll.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
she think that this is a major responsibility and job for her to do. But she said that right now she remember. That's how I want her to write everything, what she think, all the details. She said that moment, and that she felt, this news coming is not really shock because it's expected. Because before that, for many days, she was having nightmare about that happen. But it happened. Doesn't matter. She wake up, oh, this is a dream. I hope it never going to happen. But it's happened, right? And then so next day, she took a bus, carry her father's story, and the shoes, socks, everything, into the crematory. So also 30 yuan. You had to pay. And so they probably will give her the ash. That's 30 yuan for. Mm-hmm. And so she got there. She was shocked because so many kids waiting outside. So she's not
instead of
the adult, the parents, whatever. Yeah, all kids. And so she got there. She had to wait. It's so cold. She still remembered. 55 years later, she said that it was so cold, just cold up to your heart. Right now, she remembered that, still can feel the chills. And then she just standing there lying in the ring and see this, when you criminal and the people they burn, so you constantly you see the chimney, the huge big chimney, and just burn, in the sun, and then one of those smoke come out. That's one body, that's another body. So she just counting, and finally, probably almost 2 hours, and she say she count up, just countless. Just boom, boom, boom.
Too many to count.
Too many, yeah. And then the guy, the old guy, the doorman that opened the door, he said, "Come in, little girl." He said, "Did you bring anything?" He said, "Yes, I did." He said, "Do you have the from the company, which the name?"
Yeah.
And she wrote it down. She gave it a piece of paper. She said that was. So the guy said, "You wait here," he said. So you go there, look at, because they cannot get her in to look at, And he wait. He said, that's probably the longest way in her life. Finally, the guy come out and tell her, he said, he threw up everything, probably took some pills. Then, is that right? He asked the girl. So she just nodded. And then he said, then don't tell your mother. And his ear and being torn apart and then hanging in the face. But don't tell your mother. He said, just be nice to your mother. You go home. So it took her this surgery. He said, I will give you way the more. I give you the ash. They're going to do processing now, I said. So anyway.
Wow, that's so sad.
Yeah, So
but you said too many people to count.
Too many people to count.
Well, she waited.
All the kids just standing. So I was touched so 55 years. I know her father passed away, suicide and with I know 55 years. But to today, when I read what she wrote about the details, I still just can't help cry.
Yeah. We see it in her face.
Just so sad, But that's the way it is. And then she had to next day, I think, she got her the ash and then took the ash and take the train farther from northern China, and to her village. His village where he born, so they put it in the soil, In
his home village.
In a home village, yeah. So he's alone, and that time she said she just grow up. All of a sudden she that mission she had to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead her mother.
1 minute she's a little girl, and the next minute she's an adult.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
Hey, Amy, folks, we can see Amy's face when she told the story, and it's a very painful experience, and it wasn't even her family that she's talking about, but because from personal experience what the experience was like for that friend of yours and the entire family.
Yeah.
Why it's so sad. And I think we'll come to find out, as we always do later on in the show, about how this will come around to what we're talking about. Wow, Nan, like I said, I've said this before on this program. I'm the person who doesn't have the experience, so it's my only way to relate to it is to see how you folks react to the story, and it's mind-bogglingly sad to hear these things. But they're true, because in so many millions of cases, the same thing happened.
Yeah, it's you're looking back to your experience in China when people come out of China years later. They look back. A lot of things are still disturbing, even though those things already passed for many years or even decades. The experience living under a communist regime. It will never go away. It's kind of like an experience. It's painful. You don't want to go back to visit.
By the way, thank you for going back and reliving the painful story, but it needs to be told, and that's the only reason that we would even put you through this each week. But when folks hear the story and they know the truth from somebody who lived it, it does make a difference, Amy. Yes, we have our guest on now. Jennifer is on the line, so let me lock Jennifer's line in before I lose it here.
Okay, we have our guest today, who is Jennifer Zeng. Jennifer Zeng is a very popular YouTube channel host. She is an author as well as active human rights fighters for China's human rights. He was jailed 4 times before he left China. He fled China. He fled China to Australia back in 2001. She was jailed many times because she practiced Falun Gong in China. So Jennifer is with us to talk about one of the very popular video clip that she recently translated into English. She put on her Twitter and published it and in 2 days it received, that video clips received more than 150,000
in 2 days.
Yeah, in 2 days.
Wow.
So we're going to ask Jennifer some questions. Hey, Jennifer, welcome to our program.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
So you put a very popular a video clip a couple of days ago from your YouTube account and receive a lot of clicks, and people make comments for the video. So tell us about what was the content of the video clip?
Basically, this is a 5-minute video clip by a Chinese military channel called Liu Jun Tao Lue. That's in Chinese. In English, it means wisdom and strategy for 6 armies. So why 6 armies? Because in China, there are altogether 6 military regions. So this channel is to provide military wisdom and strategy for the entire People's Liberation Army, for the CCP army. Basically, this video says if Japan dares to defend Taiwan, even if it only deployed 1 soldier, 1 plane, 1 ship, China or the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, would nuke Japan and continuously shoot nuclear bombs until Japan surrender for the second time. And it especially mentioned that because Japan is the only country in the world that has ever been hit by nuclear bombs. So the entire country has a special feeling, from the government to the public has a special feeling. You know, that's the deepest scar of the nation. So if we threaten them with a nuclear bomb, that would be, they call it, achieve the effect, double effect with half the effort. So when I saw this video, I was so shocked. Also, they said they proposed a theory called Japan exception, because they once promised that China would not use nuclear power first, and it would not use it against any non-nuclear country. But now they say, because Japan hurt us very badly in the past, they invade us, so Japan can't be an exception, so we can nuke Japan. So that's basically what this 5-minute video says.
Let me ask you this question, because the first thing that came to my mind when I heard and read about this story is the idea that Japan is a consumer of products from China, like the rest of the world is, and China sells a lot of stuff to Japan. So why would China nuke Japan just on the economic basis?
I think you can never ever make any judgment on the Chinese Communist Party based on normal human logic. Because the CCP, we have a say in the Chinese-speaking circle that there are only things you are incapable of thinking of. There are nothing that the CCP is incapable of doing. So you cannot judge the CCP with normal human logic. Of course, everyone thinks, if we make peace, we make progress, everyone benefits together. But the CCP's mindset is they want to dominate the world. They have been threatening about invade Taiwan, and sometimes they need to save face in front of their public. And I heard that was many, many years ago from a former Chinese diplomat, Mr. Chen Yonglin, around in 2005. Actually, the CCP already had the plan back then that they figured because of their internal political, economic, social, and financial crisis, there is no way that they can solve this crisis. So the only way is to declare war against Taiwan. The real interest is not to take back Taiwan, but to resolve the internal power problem or the crisis of their regime. So to declare a war against Taiwan, they can bring the whole nation to an emergency wartime status. And in that kind of emergency status, you can do anything that you cannot do in normal time. So that's the only way out for the regime. And if they are going to declare a war against Taiwan, they figured the U.S. and Japan are two countries they have to deal with. They know these countries will be definitely stand together with Taiwan. So that's the long-term strategy I heard many, many years ago.
Yes. Oh, okay. Jennifer, so welcome you back to the program. I still remember last time you told us the story about you were in jail in China and they will give you so many times blood test, try to harvest your organ. Wow, that was shaking story. Really. I still remember that.
Yes.
And so I think is this time they threatening having moved to Japan, is that part of this Communist Party's propaganda? Because, in history, China and Japan, have the war. So they think that way, and if they have internal problems, so people not going to hate the CCP, they will hate the Japan because it's easy to manipulating the emotions in China.
Yes. That could be, I think, a very legit reason why they are doing this. They always need to incite the nationalism because communism in China as an ideology has gone bankrupt, I think, ever after the Cultural Revolution many decades ago. So nationalism is the only banner that they can, I think, use to try to, and you can say, strengthen or solid their own legitimacy. So that could be just the propaganda they use to incite nationalism sentiment inside China. But for me, the fact that they can talk about this and they can talk about we target you because you have a scar in your national memory, this kind of mentality itself is evil enough, and we need to learn about this. We need to learn what kind of evil they are capable of thinking of, and they, I think, the threat about taking back Taiwan is becoming real, more and more real with the days go on. We saw a lot of not only verbal threatening, they really get a lot of military planes circling around Taiwan, that sort of thing. So I think it's better we know about what they are threatening and we be prepared at least.
Now, Jennifer, Chinese regime has always said they have made a promise to the international community that they are never going to use the nuclear power against anybody as the first, right? Unless someone use a nuclear weapon against them, and then they will retaliate. But they're never trying to use the nuclear weapon against anybody first. Now, this time in this video, they say, well, we'll make Japan an exception of that promise.
Yes.
Do you trust that that's just an exception? I mean, if they can make Japan an exception of that promise, I mean, you shouldn't, do you think it's possible later they will make exceptions of anyone, any country? Do you think that they're going to do that?
Yes, that's a very, very normal logic. If today Japan can be an exception, tomorrow they can find an excuse to make Taiwan an exception, and the day after tomorrow maybe Australia or maybe India. I think if you have number one, you will have number two definitely, and then that promise will become an empty word, just like what they already did to Hong Kong. Like I think their politicians openly said, they have a treaty, I think, with Britain when they took back Hong Kong in 1997, and then they claim, it's a historic document. It doesn't have any. It's no longer valid today because the past is the past. That's why the promise to give Hong Kong, or at least maintain Hong Kong's current status or way of life or freedom for at least 50 years. And now it's only some 20 years. They've taken back virtually every kind of freedom of Hong Kong. So we've already learned this. I think that I'm not sure how many more examples the world needs to really be awakened about what the CCP's nature really is.
Jennifer, I understand the whole idea that conventional logic does not work with the CCP, but let me try to be logical for just a second. China must know that should they launch a nuclear attack against any other country in the world, that country, if they're capable, and the United States, if they're not capable, is going to retaliate.
Yes.
And is the CCP prepared to, have Beijing wiped off the face of the planet?
I think, in normal logic, it should not. It should not. You should know what the consequences is. But also, I think many, many years ago, there's another CCP's PLA General Zhu Chenghu. When he gave out the nuclear war threats, he did say, we don't care if we sacrifice all the cities that is east of Xi'an. So they figured they can have the CCP leaders hide in the underground facility they built long ago, and they don't mind half of the population of China being wiped out, even if they can preserve their power. So they did have that kind of mentality. But in real world, what they can do, we really don't know. But the fact is real. The video is there. They said these words. So how the world should look at that, I think that's for the world to figure out.
Oh, hey, Billy, just and also Jennifer, I do want to mention that kind of comment was not first made by the military general of PLA, Zhu Chenghu. Zhu was the, I think he was the military general as well. He was the grandson of former Chinese Communist Party's military commander, and also the vice chairman of Chinese Communist Party, Zhu De. And now, during the 1950s, in the 50s, when Chairman Mao visited Moscow, and when the communist countries discussed about the possible nuclear war between the communist camp against the freedom camp of the West, Chairman Mao did make a comment. It was a very well-known comment. At that time, China has about 600 million population. So Chairman Mao say in Moscow that if China lost 300 million people in the nuclear war against the United States, it's okay. So that's the comment he formally made it's an international meeting among all the communist nations.
So the answer to the question that I asked Jennifer, she gave a pretty good answer, and you sort of clarified it a little bit. The answer is we can afford to lose Beijing and a couple of 100 million people, no problem.
More than that, because when Jennifer quote the comment from that guy, he said the original comments it's a Chinese Communist Party is afford to lose all the population on the east side of Xi'an. Now Xi'an is the place, if you ever go to China, it's the pretty much from in the far west. I mean, if they lose, all the population on the east side of Xi'an, that probably means 2/3 of the Chinese population.
Yeah, the Chinese don't live in the side of, most of the geography. Yeah.
It'd be like saying, well, we can if it were the United States, we can afford to lose everybody east of the Mississippi.
So Jennifer, do you have any information? What's the reaction from inside of China and also the Japan?
Yeah, I would be worried if I was a person in China.
I think after I translated, they have another video following on the second day, a 9-minute one. That video was more shocking. It says we need to eliminate Taiwan or Japan, and together with Russia and North Korea, and then we need to divide Japan into 4 different countries and have China and Russia to minister these countries. So, but after I translated these 2 videos into, I put English title on them, and they got I think they went viral in Twitter. The first one already got over 370,000 views as of now. So what they did, the reaction is they deleted those 2 videos from their own channel. But I've got the original channel re-uploaded in my own YouTube channel, so as an evidence, so that people know I didn't make up anything. It's all taken. It's an excerpt from their longer video. So I think maybe because the response from the international world, of course, many people got very angry about their comment. I didn't hear anything about from Japan officially, but just yesterday or the day of yesterday, Japan just released its white paper, defense white paper, and it did have some very subtle change with that white paper. It used a different, cover photo that also raised a lot of controversial. It's like a warrant, Asian warrant picture in that cover.
So any response from the United Nations, the Security Council?
No, I haven't heard about them.
Well, I wouldn't expect anything from them.
No.
Yeah, because they want to divide Japan to 4 countries,
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Jennifer, we are joined in the studio here by one of our frequent contributors to China Uber Alice, Michael Olson. I think he has a question for you.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, one of the things that I've long been curious about is the incident during World War II that came to be known as the Rape of Nanjing, and the impact that has on the CCP and China's relationship with Japan. Do you think that it would ever be possible for that to be forgiven?
Actually, you know what? The CCP already forgiven Japan. They didn't demand any compensation because the CCP was very grateful that because of Japan's invasion, they had the opportunity to beat the Kuomintang to win the civil war following the Japan, the war against Japan. They were able to win China or took over China. So actually, Mao Zedong said openly to, I think, the visiting Japanese prime minister in 1970 or something, we feel very grateful toward Japanese. That's their real attitude. But of course, when they need hatred towards Japan, they were inside hatred again. They will talk about these issues and they will curse Japan, curse America as usual. But I think deep in their mind, they are grateful because of this Japanese war. They were able to take over China.
So Jennifer, I think I hear you saying that China is sort of playing both sides against the middle here. On one hand, they're grateful to Japan for helping them, but they also want to use Japan as the current whipping boy.
Yeah. When they need an enemy, Japan will be a good one, and sometimes America.
Yeah. So Jennifer, and as I know, and Japanese did a lot of investment for last 30 years in China. It's more than any other country. Also, lots of real estate that they own in China.
Yes.
So I don't know what's happening now. What's the Japan business community's reaction to that?
And it's probably a good lesson for American companies too.
For other investors around the world.
Right.
Like if you own Apple stock, for example, who knows?
Yes, I hope the world can learn some lessons.
Yeah.
Businessmen, they always only think about business sometimes, and they only make a 5-year or 10-year plan. They don't look beyond that. I think there are many people who do lose a lot of money in China. That's why I think a lot of companies have already started, move their supply chain out of China in the past several years. Many companies, especially I think many companies from Taiwan and from South Korea is doing so. And recently we saw, I'm not sure whether you know about the incident with the DD company who just got listed in New York I think on June the 30th. And 2 days later, the CCP cracked down on it. And I think American investors lost a huge amount of money because of that. Their price, crashed down to the bottom, and I think even below the IPO price. So at the end of the day, maybe you can make some money in the middle, but at the end of the day, I think it is very dangerous because there are so many risks that you cannot anticipate, you cannot control. Because of their internal power struggle, you don't know what will come out of tomorrow. So that, I think, should be a very risky element when you want to make an investment because of the uncertainty. Many things are very uncertain in China now.
Now, Jennifer, I have one more question that we know that next year it's going to be the end of the second term of Chairman Xi, and he's probably going to now look like he's probably going to continuously be the leader leading the Chinese Communist Party after the end of the second term. Now, do you think that all these kind of hawkish, very much hawkish video and discussions and reports on the Chinese media as well as on the China's internet, among the internet users, do you think there's a possibility that this kind of discussion in any way related to the effort made by Chairman Xi to continuously rule China?
Yes, I believe so, because Xi has somehow turned left, and he's more and more, I think, adopting Mao-style leadership. In this ceremony, he wear a Mao-style suit instead of a Western suit. So because I think in the bottom of his mind, he still worshipped Mao, because many Chinese people worshipped Mao because Mao, they thought they driven out the Japanese, they drove out the Kuomintang, and they united the their propaganda. So I think she is very much learning from Mao, and they turning to the left ideologically. He needs that kind of ideology legitimacy to gain and to continue his power. So these are all, I think, display of his show of power. He really wants to be president of the CCP for life. That's the preparation he's doing. I think everybody is saying that, and the other factions inside the party is also want to fight back. So that's why you see a lot of things happening, and they are very obviously for China observers. They come from the internal power struggle. He still cannot have absolute control, so he needs more craziness to show that he's in control. He has the absolute power. If he really does have the absolute power, he doesn't need so much shows performance.
Do you think that the demonstrations of his absolute power will result in some of the programs like Mao initiated to get rid of his opposition? We note that the CCP has been going after the Uyghurs, of course, the Falun Gong, the Christians, just about anybody or everybody that could be considered a threat.
Yes.
So do you think that he will go deeper into that mode of suppression and elimination?
Yes, I think he has already started. Like the DD incident we just talked about, the company just went public in New York, and they suddenly cracked down on it. And before that, they stopped the listing of Alibaba's Jack Ma's Ant Group. So this is economic crackdown because we all believe the other Jiang Zemin, the former CCP leaders, Jiang Zemin's faction is behind these two groups. So economically, he already has started. He knew this would become very bad image for China, and will have the American investors lose confidence in Chinese companies, but he still did it. So this is an economic area, and ideology area, people are already talking about. They are feeling like Cultural Revolution 2.0 has already started in China, and also they are talking about going back to planned economy model. So there's this so-called 供销社, the old days, which means supply and so the government universally purchase things from people and universally sell them. So there are no free market. So they are talking about adopting this kind of system again, going back to Mao's time. So it's already started, and also of course we saw what happened in Hong Kong with Uyghurs, with Falun Gong. So
not good news.
Not good news. Already happened.
Jennifer, we're running out of time here. I do want to give you an opportunity quickly to tell us how we can find out more about your work.
Yes, search for Inconvenient Truths by Jennifer Zeng on YouTube. That's my channel. Also, I have a website, Jennifer Zeng blog, JenniferZengblog1word.com.
Terrific. We thank you so much for being our guest again, and we hope you'll come back and visit us again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good to have you.
Good. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, we'll take our first break of the show, and we'll be back in just a moment. Satisfy your hunger right now with the delicious ramen and sushi you'll find waiting for you at Kaito. Easy in and out location in the Capitola Mall food court. Special orders welcome. Fresh, delicious, and oh so good.
This is Koji. I'm looking forward to seeing you at my restaurant, Kaito.
I'm Jim Chubb with Pacific Inland. Our NMLS 361091. If you're interested in buying or refinancing, I suggest you take advantage of my reliable expert advice. I'm at 818-7700. I help you make informed mortgage choices with zero selling. See my Sunday column in the Sentinel. We have a 30-year fixed at 3.375 APR with no closing costs. Some restrictions apply. Call me, 818-7700 for individual pricing. That's 818-7700.
Cammie Corvin is the executive producer for the Think Local First radio show. Join Cammie each Saturday from 2 to 4 as she hosts what is going on in our community for local businesses and local issues. Think Local First is brought to you by Bruno's Bar and Grill in Scotts Valley, Togo's in Scotts Valley, Capitola and Watsonville, Tremonti Italian Restaurant in Santa Cruz, Back 9 Bar and Grill, and Cruz Coffee of Scotts Valley. Think Local First every Saturday on AM 1080 or KSCO.com.
Discover the difference at the Garden Company. The difference in the way you're greeted. The difference in the quality and diversity of our plants. The difference in the knowledge of our staff and their commitment to your positive shopping experience. Hi, I'm Charlie Koopman of the Garden Company Nursery and Gift Shop, a family-owned garden center since 1986. Let us help you create colorful containers for your deck, a fragrant planting for your entry, or an edible landscape for your personal harvest. You'll find everything you need: perennials, shrubs, vines, fruit trees, organic vegetables, pottery, soils, and much more. When it comes to garden supplies, our philosophy is organic first, offering earth-friendly fertilizers, soils, and pest controls. And there's our incredible gift shop with exquisite gift ideas for office parties, hostess gifts, or any occasion. The Garden Company Nursery and Gift Shop, a proud member of Think Local First, 2218 Mission Street, across from Safeway on the west side of Santa Cruz. The Garden Company Nursery and Gift Shop, a family-owned garden center since 1986.
Hi, this is Hema with the Holistic Mystic. I'm so excited to tell you about a show that I have on Fridays from 7 to 8 p.m. here on KSCO. Are you feeling stuck and don't know what to do? You need some help to get unstuck so that you can feel free and happy? Let's talk about it all, from spirituality to wellness to intimacy. You know, it's all connected. Keep listening for uplifting mystical readings that will give you some insights into how you can live your best life. Join me, Hema, Holistic Mystic, Fridays at 7 p.m.
We have one more hour of China Uber Alice on AM 1080 KSCO. We want to remind you of a couple things before we take our top of the hour news break. We have a website, ChinaUberAlice.com, and on that website is a whole bunch of some information you really need to know. If you're interested in what we're talking about on the program, the background information is just terrific. So we invite you to go to ChinaUberAlice.com and check it out. There's a lot going on there, and past programs, articles that we read and try to put into the program, all sorts of things like that. Please go to ChinaUberAlice.com. Amy, Nan, and I will be back to take your phone calls in the second hour. Stay right here. This is KSCO Santa Cruz.
San Juan Bautista in the intersection with Highway 152. The traffic on southbound Highway 101 is slow from Coyote Creek Golf Course down to San Martin, and again just south of Gilroy. It's also slow south of Salinas near Gould Road, where a partial load of cardboard that left debris all over the lanes is still being cleaned up. The traffic is also moving very slowly on River Road near the Odonata Winery, due to a 1:30 p.m. accident in which a vehicle spun out and went into the bushes. A small craft advisory is in effect through tomorrow evening. It's now sunny and 73 degrees here at KSCO. There's a calm wind becoming southwest around 6 miles per hour this afternoon. Tonight, patchy fog is expected after 11 p.m., otherwise increasing clouds with a low around 51 degrees tonight. Southeast wind around 5 miles per hour becoming calm in the evening. The time now coming up on 7 minutes after 3 p.m., and that means it's time for the second hour of China Uber Alice.
Is brought to you in part by Sushi Market Sprouts on 7th in Santa Cruz and Kaito in the Capitola Mall Food Court. Treat yourself to the finest Japanese cuisine you'll find anywhere with fresh sushi to go and delicious ramen dinners. Sushi Market Sprouts and Kaito. Yum! Always have an opportunity to thank our board ops who make it happen in the other room for us. Without them, we would not be doing this program. Thank you, Susan Simon, for running the controls in the other room. We appreciate it. You know, every time I do this program, I was telling Nan and Amy off air that every time I do this program, I learn something new that I really hadn't realized about the Chinese Communist Party and about how China operates. And I find it very illuminating every time I do one of these programs. Welcome to the second hour of China Uber Alice. I'm Bill Graff, along with Nan Su from the Epoch Times and Amy Howe, who is a first-hand, I hate to say this, participant in what happened under Chairman Mao in the Cultural Revolution. Amy and her family and friends all were part of that, and well, I guess as was Nan.
Yeah, I just spoke to Amy Howe during the break about that. Her friends, I was asking her friends the real name, the famous movie star. Actually, I watch many of her movies.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I didn't know that you knew her personally.
Especially the movie, the 人到中年.
Yes.
It's very touching.
Yeah, she's very famous.
So she was obviously a very good actress.
Yeah, very good actress. I just searched on internet. She was actually became a nun. And
she's now a Buddhist nun?
A Buddhist nun.
No more movies.
No more movies.
Unless it's about Buddhist nuns.
Theoretically, once
once a nun, you're
a nun, you forget everything in the normal world, right?
Yeah.
So
right,
you're not going to see any new movies from her until
No. Yeah.
Oh my. Well. So let's talk about the question that we posed before we had our guest in the first hour. Why is China threatening to nuke Japan? And is it an idle threat, or do you, our audience, do you really think Japan might get bombed? Look, here's my thought on this, and I realize after hearing Jennifer and after hearing both of you folks talk about this, that the likelihood is less than you might think by China's rhetoric, but it's still possible. And I think that's what scares me a little bit. The only thing I can think of is the retaliation that might take place. When Japan got bombed at the end of World War II to end the war, to stop the killing, it killed a lot of people in Japan, but the estimation is that it would saved a lot of lives in other theaters around the world. But there was nobody else at the time that had the capability to retaliate, certainly not Japan. But now that situation's completely different. And so now we have, China, if China sets off a bomb, we can retaliate. The French can retaliate. The British can retaliate. Russia could retaliate. I think the Australians got one or two of those things. I'm not too sure about that. But there's a bunch of other countries that could retaliate and cause China serious problems, which under the normal logical thinking would prevent, mutual assured destruction, stops everybody from starting the playground war.
Yeah, well, first of all, I kind of agree with the answer from Jennifer Zeng. You cannot use the normal logic.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
To really trying to understand the mentality of Chinese communist regime. Well, think about this. Hong Kong, after return to China, it's so good to help China's economy. Why did the Chinese regime doing all the things in Hong Kong and make people living in Hong Kong so angry, though? So they start protesting. Now they completely shut down the one country, two political system.
Yeah, they literally had a good thing going.
Yeah, well, why do they do that? Also, now think about the things going on in South China Sea. What do they gain? They don't gain nothing except to make people all around the world angry.
Well, they gain a few little pieces of coral islands they're making.
Yeah.
They can, they can land an airplane on a couple of those little tiny islands.
Right. See, you cannot judge whatever they're doing. I mean, by a normal mentality. And think about why they are sending the military planes approaching Taiwan every day. It doesn't make them gain anything, right? And
it also doesn't make any sense.
But that's the old game they play. So that's, I think Chairman Xi is, just study the Mao. So think about why Mao wanted to have a cultural revolution, to destroy everything from beginning, right? Just to for his own power. So I think Xi was doing the same thing. Everything, that's the only logic you can think about the CCP.
Well, if you can call it logic.
No, their logic. About. That's what they follow, their logic. Yeah.
But see,
that's
I think
power number one.
But think about look, when I think of how countries interact, I think of diplomacy. Can you imagine? I mean, I can't imagine being the diplomatic corps that has to deal with China.
So you think about during the Cultural Revolution, Mao, how many friends do we have, right?
Right.
We have Albania, one, and North Korea. That was it.
Yeah.
The beginning supporting Vietnam, North Vietnam, and then become an enemy. There's the war, So they don't care. And talk about internally the people's life in China. They don't care either.
Yeah, no.
Everything for the power.
Your stories have made that
They don't care
abundantly clear that they don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a phone call. We have, who do we have here? Gerhardt in Santa Cruz. Gerhardt, you're on China Uber Alice. Thanks for calling.
Hi, have a wonderful good day. All my respects to all of you. And I'm really happy you're working with a subject which is really very, very interesting. I do have a question. It's for Amy. I don't know if she remembers, because you talked a lot about Mao and his attitude. I don't know if Amy remembers the Demyansky-Ostrov incident with Russia. When whole China literally was on alert due to the fact the Soviets have been ready to nuke all major cities in Beijing, and that the only factor why it stopped was the United States did not agree with it. It was right a couple of months after that Mr. Nixon and all the stuff happened and China opened up to the West. China was literally settling down on its knees. They started trouble with the Russians, and since then, the only country what the Chinese have respect from is Russia. My opinion, my humble opinion.
Gerhard, what year was that? About 1974 or 5?
Yep.
That time was China. I was in China. We had to exercise every month. Say we're gonna have a nuclear war with Russia in China.
Yep.
Yeah, we were digging those the shelters. Every city, everywhere. Every month we had to do that exercise. Yeah.
Bomb shelters.
Bomb shelter,
Mao wanted to have so much power like Stalin. He tried it and he kind of got his nose polished.
Wow. Gerhard, I'm glad you brought that up because I had not remembered or heard that until I have a vague memory of that now. But, I was living in the South Pacific at the time, so some of our news was a little scarce from, they were...
No, the whole Western world was dancing around like in a campfire with a bucket of explosives inside in the center of it. It was sad to say, but the big bear, this is what the Chinese have respect for. Nobody else.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you the question we're going to ask everybody today. Do you think China would, in fact, try to bomb Japan?
No.
Okay. Well, that's...
China is gonna put probably 80% of the Western world commercially and industrially, economically on its knees. Due to the fact that everybody is bickering around, but nobody wants to or dares to say what the real truth is about China.
Yeah.
Too many repercussions.
Yeah. For instance,
this is why I respect you. You talk, my God, you literally, and you know it. I respect it. You have all my respect. You know exactly. The moment you started talking like that about the Chinese, about the communist government, you pretty much sign your own death sentence.
Well, I hope not.
Like all of us, no, more or less, yes. We are in a black book, and they don't forget. In 1,000 years, they're not going to forget us.
Well, thank you for that.
You're so right. Yeah, Gary, you're so right. Even though, they have a couple of times the movement like against boycott the Japanese products, gone on and on and on. But those is a production of the CCP. So they pay the money for the people to protest it, to smash
Sure.
It's a show.
Paid protest. Yeah. Hey, thank you for the call. We appreciate it.
I respect all of you and keep doing a good work. Not too many people dare to talk about this subject here in the land of the free, which is sad.
Call us again,
Have
sir.
a wonderful one. May God keep you all healthy. Thank you.
Spasiba.
Thank you for calling. And also, think about this. Think about this in a different angle. When did you ever, find in the situation that Chinese communist regime ever keep their words? I mean, they promised the world they're never going to use the nuclear weapons first against any country.
Well, so far they've kept their promise. So far.
Well, now they say that there's an exception, Japan.
Yeah, but they haven't actually done it yet.
No,
Okay, that's number. Well,
so I'm keeping my fingers.
Well, theoretically, they're already making the exception, at least.
Well, theoretically, they're making the threat.
And also
they're making the threat.
No,
right?
action,
They say they promise one country, two political system from Hong Kong. That they already made an exception, right? So they already abandoned the system. Now, keep in mind. They signed. They promised a lot when they signed the agreement with the United States back in 2000 when asked United States Congress allow them to join WTO.
Right.
They never keep any of the promise they made. And also,
okay, now you're making me nervous.
Right now, and let's talk about. There are more. I mean, when you during look at the history of U.S.-China relationship. United States and China signed 3 communiques. One 1972 by Nixon, another one Jimmy Carter 1979, and then Reagan 1982. Basically, the agreement is United States it's not going to build a formal diplomatic relationship with Taiwan. As a return, China promised they are never going to use any military means to solve their problem with Taiwan. But now you see that they're sending
planes flying over,
all over,
boats in the straits.
So see
all
that
kind of stuff.
all kind of stuff,
okay,
right?
Okay.
And this is not it. And one more, 2016, Chairman Xi, who is still there in Beijing leading China, who personally make promise with the then American President Obama that he is never going to make those islands, man-made islands in the South China Sea for military purpose.
Oh, so we won't look at the runways.
Yeah.
Well, what
and
about
we won't
the
look
missiles?
at the little ports they made.
And what about the missiles?
Okay, we won't. We'll ignore those. We'll ignore the missiles.
Just a fish.
See. Well, we Americans, we need to start thinking. I mean,
we need to pull our head out. Is
That's
what we
right.
need to do.
Yeah.
We need to look at the sunshine
Yeah.
to see what's going on instead of burying our head in the
Head
sand.
like an ostrich.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk to Nancy and Carmel. Nancy, you're on China Uber Alice.
Thank you. I love this program. You know, I love all of you. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Have we scared you at all today?
Well,
because the
I'm
program
not scared because I know
it scared me a little bit.
The reason why I'm not scared is I know so much. I don't, I'm not bragging. I'm not trying to be boastful or anything. I'm just saying that I've looked into so much over the last 20 years that most people don't even have a clue about, that I realize that this has been going on in different iterations for 200,000 years. So it's really just a matter of figuring out what to do now, because it's the same dynamic. It's just different people over the centuries who have the power. So what I was going to say was...
That's a good point.
it's really useless to talk to the corporations because they're all in cahoots together, and all they care about is the bottom line. All they care about is money, and so they're going to do whatever they can to be in cahoots with China legally without our sanction to do that, but they're still going to be doing it because they want to make money. So my suggestion is we Americans have got to get it together and just stop immediately buying Chinese goods. I know that sounds ridiculous, but we can do it. And if we don't do it, then there's not going to be any change. So if you can't get radical against these people who are radical, then you're hopeless. So we people have got to just knuckle down, pay a little more, do whatever we have to do. Even if you go without, who cares? Get these people on their knees and stop this power grab that they have got, and they've got it. And then I was also going to say, we've got to use independent propaganda. Our media is totally sold out. Forget it. Don't even try to use any of our media. They're not going to go along with it. They're going to twist it. They're going to not do it. So we've got to have independent media somehow get to the American people and tell them through public service announcements or whatever, but you can't because that's our media. But however, start flyers, send them out of the airplanes the way they used to do with, communist propaganda.
Actually, Nancy, you're making very good points here, and I think alternate thinking is what we need.
Yeah, had to do something.
You can't keep this up because it's just too late. It is too late. I'm sorry, but our government, I don't trust it. I don't
come on. You got to trust the government.
In mind.
If you can't trust the government, who can you trust?
Oh, I'm sorry. Shoot me, but
I'm
that's
being
what
facetious,
I think, so.
Nancy.
I know you are, Billy. I know whose side you are on, and I understand completely. I was being facetious too. But what I'm trying to say is we've got to figure it out smartly. Stop doing like the United States always says, we have to do it this way. We have to go by the rules. We have to, look good. Screw that. Just do what it takes to get power back. And then I was just going to tell you that it's...
Be careful, Nancy.
China
I got a
has
license I got to keep. Be careful. I have to keep my license.
China has always... What did I say?
No, I'm just saying. But watch out now, because I might have to push the red button.
No, I'm not going to swear.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to tell you.
I thought you sounded like you were torquing up for a good one there.
Well, I am, but I won't. But China has always lied.
Yes.
They've always lied.
Yeah.
So stop believing them. Stop doing business with them. Stop giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Just stop. America, you're so stupid.
There you go.
You're so blind. You're so why Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling. We appreciate it. Nancy makes a good point.
Yes.
And why it's such a good point, I think, is because we periodically collectively go, that idea is right. And we shift gears for about 5 minutes, and then we all collectively go, I really want that big screen TV made cheaply in China.
Yeah.
How many people in this country own an iPhone? How many people? It's millions, right?
Yeah.
And every one of those iPhones was made in China up until maybe 6 months ago. And then they opened another factory somewhere else.
In India.
In India.
Yeah.
But up to that point.
So Apple still keep its operation in China, but I heard this is what was reported.
They're moving.
They're moving, but also they were going to keep their operations in China. But their operation in China are only going to manufacture iPhones serving the Chinese population in China. So for the rest of the world, they're going to start making their products in India
and probably some other countries too, because they want to diversify their supply line too. But think of all the. And by the way, Dick, I'll get your call in just a second. Think of all the other parts for all kind of products, cars, plastic cases for all kind of electrical components themselves. All of that stuff's made in China, and we can't help ourselves. The supply chain now for you've all read about the like you can't buy a new car right now. There's a big shortage of new cars because not enough chips to run all of the electronical stuff in the cars. So some of those chips are being made in China. Some of those chips are being made, here in the United States and in Taiwan and a whole bunch of other places. But a bunch of them are still being made in the CCP.
Yeah. Well, being made by the workers, the sweatshops that are under the control of CCP. Yeah. So it kind of like we are actually supporting them running a sweatshop.
We're not actually supporting them. We are supporting them.
That's right.
I mean, there's no question about it. Until we stop buying, Nancy's right, until we stop buying stuff directly from companies in the communist China, we're supporting their regime.
We're supporting whatever they're doing in Xinjiang areas, genocide.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
All right, let's talk to Dick in Santa Cruz. Dick, you're on KSCO. Thanks for calling.
Hey, guys. This is scary stuff. China's playing this chess game on us. I mean, some of the latest moves would be like how they changed their tactics with our ambassadors up in Canada and just shamed us for 10 minutes about
we're not qualified. We're not qualified to be there.
Yeah, they're so far ahead of us. I mean, they're flooding Mexico with fentanyl compounds. With Biden in office, he isn't going to do a damn thing. So they know that. So everybody better put their heads down because there might be some big chess moves by them pretty soon. I mean, China has troops in Canada. You guys know about that?
To receive trainings.
Training.
Using their military training ground.
They got hundreds of thousands of them up there. You had an admiral on a few weeks ago, and you were saying, he said to you right directly, okay, just give him Taiwan. Do you remember that?
Yeah, well, I remember basically he said that if China invaded Taiwan, the United States and the Western world are going to do the evacuation, basically.
Yeah, right. That's because, right now, they're circling EMP bombs right over the United States and satellites. I mean, there's so many things we could do. First of all, they're going for the advancements in space. They're trying to beat us in everything. Building big space platforms out there. And I hate to say it that it's not a chess game so much for them as it is for us because their ideology, dictates everything they say and do to us and to the world. They are conquerors. They are the new world order. You name it, whatever. They want the reserve currency. They're going to get it probably, and they see our wokeness as complete weakness. Like I was talking about our commercial for the Army versus the Russian commercial. We had a girl in a cartoon talking about how she's going to find herself, and then the Russians are all in black camo, with their rifles, cocking them and doing push-ups. I mean, our weakness, they know the timing might be right for them, And if we don't get tough, if we don't say we're going to shoot down those you can't have any of those satellites going around. We know which ones have the weapons in them. And we're going to have a secret weapons research or something like that. We're going to rev up Star Wars. We're going to have brand new strong pacts with all our allies. We have to start playing chess. I mean, they're just overrunning us. We're just moving our pawns around, and they're just pushing us all over the board.
Dick, do you really believe that we don't have the similar kind of EMP weapons and satellites circling the Earth in strategic places just like they do?
Doesn't matter. They're hardened. Russia's hardened.
What makes you think? What makes you think ours aren't?
We're not.
How do you know that?
I read the reports. I went over this with you before, Bill. Go to the 2004 commission on EMP.
2004 is 26 years ago. I mean,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, we haven't done it, Bill. There's a couple of states that are actually doing it.
I don't believe that. I'm sorry. I think our military is way sharper than that.
Listen, I've listened to the fella Pry. His name is Pry on recent talk shows. We haven't done squat. 85% of the military's dependence is on the national network, grid. 85%. Okay, this is from the commissioner who was hired by the Congress, and no, we have problems with that. You can't just say that, Bill. Besides,
I can't say that. I don't think our military is unprotected. I can say anything I want, and I don't think our military is that stupid. I'm sorry.
I just told you.
Well, just because you told me doesn't mean it's true.
Look it up.
Bill,
did. Look it up.
I did look it up.
No.
You can't get that information on the internet. You cannot get. They won't tell you what.
It was a commissioner report, Bill. It hasn't changed. There's been. Listen. I've followed this for years and years, and I just want to say that. That's only one aspect, Bill. Okay.
Look. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you believe.
We can't
leave ourselves unprotected. I understand that, but I don't think we are leaving ourselves unprotected. I think that's
what I'm saying. I'm saying we cannot get escalate anything. I don't care if they drop a nuke. They don't care about the environment. They don't care about their people. They're building. What do they care about the environment and a little nuclear fallout? Give me a break. I mean, seriously, we are so outgunned and so outmanned by...
We are not outgunned nuclear... when it comes to nuclear missiles, we are not outgunned. I do know that for sure. I do know that for sure.
Listen, do you think the Chinese think that Western allies are going to blow up the world? Do you really think Chinese...
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about it. We have enough. Look, there's enough nuclear material on both sides to eliminate the atmosphere and kill us all right now.
Yeah, and we won't do it. The Western. Look at how soft we are, Bill. Look at the Biden administration, Bill. I mean, seriously, they're stupid and he's an idiot. But no, he's got too many people who will say no. Let him have Japan. Let him have Taiwan. So this is where we are, and if we have to...
I honestly don't think there are any other countries that will say, let them have Japan and let them have Taiwan. I'm sorry.
Well, they better. That's why I said they should strengthen their allies' pacts, right now. Like, double down on them all and get everybody in a line. That will help. But I'm sorry, the ideology... You look at our two commercials, Bill... what do you guys think? Wait
a minute. You keep talking about our commercials appear soft to the Russian commercials, right? That's what you're saying, right?
They're ridiculous.
Okay, forget that. Look at the end result. The military, our military, look, I'm just going to say it in plain terms, okay? I don't want to lose the license, so I'm going to clean it up just a little bit. Our military is badass. Our military is the best in the world.
Yeah. But the leadership...
No. Wait, stop. Don't say, yeah, and then try to make another point. Our military is the best in the world, buddy. It is.
Okay, Bill.
Mm-hmm. You don't believe that?
Hey, Amy.
Do you believe that?
I know you're patriotic, Bill. Okay?
No, I'm not patriotic. I know military guys. I know guys who serve in the SEAL teams.
Yeah,
They're
well,
badass.
They're all quitting right now, and they're purging it out. You heard it. You heard that.
Come
general.
on, Dick. You just want to call up and be doom and gloom. Come on.
They are purging some of the best patriots right now out of the military, and we're not going to get good ones.
You know what? Really?
What's the matter? What's the matter, Bill?
You're just, man. It's driving me nuts. It's driving me nuts.
All right. Thank you, Dick.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Wow. Let's talk to Patty. Doom and gloom. Really? He thinks really our military's not the best in the world? Really?
I believe United States are military
right now, this moment,
have the power to protect the
United States and half the world.
And however, only if we really start paying serious attention to the threat from CCP in China.
I don't disagree with that. I think we should pay very close. Dick's right. We should pay very close attention to the threat. But to say that our military is seriously outgunned by the Russians? Come on. Really? We could take the Russians out in 10 minutes.
Come on, guys. Russian, when we are, when the game is the United States against the CCP, Russian can be our potential allies.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I think
Putin doesn't want anything to do with Russia.
Billy, I think we had to have a new concept of the war.
Absolutely.
Look, that's happened now.
Absolutely. Well, for instance,
this COVID.
You know what's already been ended, for instance?
Yeah.
We no longer train people to drive tanks anymore. The tank division ended.
Why?
They trained the last tank guy because it's pointless. We can now shoot people down with drones. We don't need a tank.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So they stopped. Our military is advancing. We're still we're still protecting half the world.
But also, we have to realize the danger from China. Who is the biggest drone manufacturer?
No.
Yeah.
Think
about that.
Think about that's China.
I'm not writing that off. I'm just saying that anybody who thinks our military is weak because we now employ women and and we make cartoon commercials for recruitment doesn't mean we're weak. It just means we're appealing to young people to join the military. That's what we're doing. Anyway, Patty is on line one. Patty, you're on KSCO.
Hi, Bill. Hey, so I'll stay away from the doom and gloom, but we do have the best military. I'm a vet, and I will tell you, we plan for wars decades in advance of them happening. And I know that personally. This is not what I was going to talk about, but when I was in the Army, we planned for the Iraq War, and the unit I was in did maneuvers over in Egypt. Now, the first war in Iraq was called Desert Storm. The maneuvers that we did in Egypt in 1980 was called Desert Storm. It was the first time they ever made up Desert Fatigue, and then they retired them until Desert Storm, the war Desert Storm came about. So we're planning for whatever war is coming decades before they show up.
Patty, let me ask you something. Let me ask you this. Yeah. You were in the military. Did you think when you were in the military, did you think you folks were weak?
I would tell you, I wouldn't have effed with me if you come across me when I was in the Army.
There you go.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
I may be a different lady today.
Well, so you're telling us, Patty, when you left the Army, things were better then.
Very true.
Well, this was long before the don't ask, don't...
Whoops.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Are you still there?
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yep,
I know what you're talking about.
Sorry, I switched over. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. It's a lot better now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's way better now.
Sorry. There we go. Yeah, so, the thing is that when you join the military, not the Air Force, but you do get a little, this is what you do. You are there and you are training for one purpose and one purpose only. You are not there to do anything but train to protect and serve. And you get trained to kill people. That is what you get trained to do. It's not a joke. And, you know, unless you've been through it, you just can't know. But you get, you know, maybe I was never a medic, but I'll tell you what, if someone got blown up and their lungs were exposed, we learned how to cover up their lungs with cigarette cellophane. So it's not a joke. I mean, it's real. When you go through this stuff, it's not a joke.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that our country is going to spend money not training our younger people to do exactly the same thing. But that isn't even what I was going to talk about. So when I worked for the headquarters sales department with the Postal Service, I worked directly with a Chinese aggregator, okay? And so my job was to give this aggregator the best possible postage rates that we could for the amount of things that they were going to bring in. So one of the questions that I always got from everybody was, how come someone in China can sell their items for less than what I can sell them for? And what I was told by this gentleman who was an aggregator, he said that, and tell me if I'm wrong, and this is the hopeful part, that in China, people can sell their nickel item for 2 cents because the Chinese government's going to pay them 10 cents to do it. And so my thought is, if it's, you know, with any business, no matter who you are, whether you're an entire government or you have a business like mine, if you continue to sell something for less than you paid for it, isn't something going to eventually implode?
Good question, and the answer logically is yes.
And see, that's the hopeful part. So if we keep buying from China, we're going to make them implode.
Well,
but
well, the problem is we have been doing that for 20 years, and then they become a biggest threat in the world for the lifestyle of our future generations.
I guess the way to get past it is to not buy it at all. Let them keep making it, but we won't buy it.
But, you know, asking people not to buy things from China is like trying to ask them not to drive their car just once a month. It's never going to happen.
Well,
it's just, you know.
But if we can give them an alternative, look. There was a highly successful program in the 70s and 80s, if you'll remember, Buy American. Remember that?
Yes.
And you know, for a while there, I was trying to buy everything I could from America.
At that time, it was against Japan.
Yeah, when Japanese was exactly. Now, of course, I'm driving a Honda.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Well,
I bought a Buick.
Right.
I did.
Federal government has one department. It's called International Development. That's a development agency.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
And then they just recently start a new program, which it's
actually got a lot of press.
Yeah. It's going to compete with China's Belt and Road project.
Yes.
So what they do is the federal government is going to use American taxpayers' money to sponsor American private investors to work with the developing countries' private investors to develop their economy based on the market of those countries. Right. So I think that program actually provide not only the opportunity for those countries to grow their economy, but also to provide an opportunity for American private investors to, instead of putting their investments to China, go to the other countries.
Sure, elsewhere.
Yeah.
So which country?
Oh,
any country.
Any country?
Yeah.
Strangely enough,
Such as?
Strangely enough, some of those countries include Vietnam, and places we've been before.
Right, and are those people going to be, you know, at the bottom? You know, the bottom line is always the bottom line, and it doesn't matter if you are rich or poor. you look for the best deal.
Sure.
So if the places in Vietnam are, competitive, but are we still okay? So they're not an enemy. They're not an enemy of the state. But are we still going to be employing those people at such a low rate that then we're just doing the same thing all over?
Hey, Patty, I have one solution for you. Tariffs. Trump solved the problem already.
Yeah.
Tariffs.
Yeah, tariffs were actually,
They work.
Hey,
Yeah,
Patty,
they
thank
do.
you for the call. We appreciate it. I got a board I got to going to wade through here.
Great.
Let's check in with Zach. Zach's in Watsonville, I think. Zach, you're on KSCO. Thanks for waiting.
Oh, thank you for taking my call. Hey, guys. Hey, so I had a little idea. So nuclear war always has worried me, so I just pondered that. I just been thinking about this little idea in my head. What if from space we were able to see where these nuclear silos were in the CCP or wherever our enemies are? So we have them mapped out, we have them sized out, and we invented something that is basically like a hypersonic, not a bomb, but something you drop from space. It goes down, it has a time charge, it opens up out of the capsule, if you will. What opens up is this kind of a spider web looking thing, but it's like cables, and it's all magnets so it's a bunch of magnets held together with cables. In the magnet, it drops onto the steel plate of the silo. There's a thermite charge that creates a weld on top of the silo, and if the silo can't open, no nuclear bomb. I don't know.
All right.
Well, you spent a lot of time thinking, Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it's
That's a
inspiring.
good idea.
It's inspiring.
You ever considered going on Shark Tank?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I get it from my dad. My dad's an engineer. Maybe that's, I don't know. My ideas are kind of crazier than his. His are more practical, but, I like to think
But that kind of
ideas.
thinking, though, can go a long way. I mean, it sounds kind of weird when you drop it out there like that as an idea on the radio, but keep thinking like that because you might end up with an idea that actually we might be able to, employ.
And you're whatever that you are inspired by your thinking may be able to prevent the next World War.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I hope that does. Maybe somebody has already come up with that, and we just don't know about it. Hopefully.
Well,
Possible.
Somebody famous once said that there are hardly any new ideas, but you know what? Somebody invented the match, and somebody invented the light bulb, and somebody invented the jet engine. So don't give up.
Yeah.
All right.
Good idea.
Thanks for calling. Let's check in with Rory on line 4. Rory, you're on KSCO.
Hey, you guys, thanks for taking my call. I tuned in a little late, sorry, but I did catch your caller that you were wrangling with over U.S. Military readiness. I'm blanking on his name. Sorry about that, buddy. We have a report that Senator Cotton was part of releasing and saying, I'm looking it up, you guys look it up, but it says the U.S. Navy is not ready for a battle with the CCP over Taiwan right now, today. We're not ready. And part of the challenge that's going on, it's not the equipment, it's not the will to fight, it's this Marxist mindset that's coming in under the guise of critical race theory that's being pushed by...
Hello? Rory, you still there?
Wow.
Says he's still there. Hey, Rory, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry, my headset failed me.
Okay.
Anyway, the Secretary of Defense under Biden and the Marxist regime that we're under right now is beginning to destroy unit cohesion. Okay? The CRT, let's call it what it is, Marxist critical theory is being shoved down the throats of our military as we speak. And this is going to cause failure in an armed conflict, whether it's CCP, Red China, whoever. And right now, go look up Senator Cotton and a couple other senators just penned a report that we're not ready. If they made a move today on Taiwan, we're not ready. The U.S. military is not ready. I'm sorry to say that, Billy. I didn't serve. I came from a long line of people that did, and I had friends and cousins that served. And children of cousins. siblings of my kids that serve now today, and we're not ready. And the truth is, it's all leadership. It all rises and it falls on leadership. And they looked at this in this report. They analyzed these recent failures of the Navy in the South Pacific specifically.
Oh no,
Look,
I know all about that. I know that we had ships running into cargo vessels, and stuff was not. Obviously, the Navy had a few problems back then, but I read a report that they had straightened all that out and they'd gone back to the original training.
Well, it's not. They're not drilling properly. This is what I heard today. And a couple of Navy guys talking about retired. They said they're checking box off, saying we're ready, and they're not. And they're pushing all this critical theory garbage down our sailor, corpsmen, soldiers, airmen's throats.
Okay, let me promise you this. I will read the Cotton Report, okay? I will find it and read it.
All you need to do is just, I'm actually having it in front of me. I just found it from the internet. It says Senator Cotton has real doubts about U.S. Navy's ability to defeat China in battle. That's Senator Tom Cotton.
That's the report, right?
Yeah. Republican senator from Arkansas.
Yep. Okay, Rory, you've alerted us to the information. I will read it before the next show, and if I'm sadly mistaken, I will let everybody know I'm sadly mistaken.
Thank you much, guys.
All right, thanks for the call. Let's go to Nick in Royal Oaks. Nick, you're on KSCO.
Well, I wanted to be the leader, and I've demonstrated that first strike we can be harmed very seriously. And then China having troops on the other side of the border, that's frightening. We get the air is thinning. Do you know that you really study World War I? They even have Kit Carson on film. I mean, once you study the mode and details of what they're doing, we want to sit down and say, hey, we're here, we'll be in peace as we live. And being a demonstration in universal faith, his first thing is dousing fires. The air is thinning. You go up in a flight, you never know you lost air. People just don't notice, and that's our reaction time. That's why it was being hit silly. I mean, it'd be chaos. In Kuwait, we did not do well the first day because we got invaded. See, we're first strike, and when we're not doing well, we just go for the big one. And we should not just go for the big one. We go for quality of life and thought and cooperation. And that's why it's easy for me to say, take me to CAL FIRE, to Gavin Newsom, and to restructure the dousing fires. There are plenty of countries of experimentation of people being suffocated through no air at all. We don't need that. We have that example. That's like Jesus Christ. We have an example. Once you see those examples on film, you don't need to do it twice. We learn from it. All the weird criminal stuff got to stop.
Okay, Nick, we appreciate the call. Thanks.
Bye.
Let's see, who's on line one? One more. We got time for, actually, we don't have time for another call, come to think of it. We're at the end of our program. Let's take our last break.
Satisfy your hunger with a fresh, prepared, twice-daily grab-and-go sushi you'll find waiting for you at Sushi Market Sprouts, 2 blocks from the beach at 300 7th Avenue in Santa Cruz. Fresh, delicious, and oh so good.
Hello, I'm Junko, and I look forward to serving you at the Sushi Market Sprouts.
Santa Cruz Shakespeare returns to live outdoor performances this summer in the Audrey Stanley Grove. Summer productions include R2 by Jessica Kobzanski, an adaptation of Shakespeare's Richard II, and The Agitators by Matt Smart, the story of Frederick Douglass and Susan B. Anthony and their respective fights for racial justice and gender equality. Purchase tickets for live performances or the stream at home option at santacruzshakespeare.org. That's santacruzshakespeare.org. See you in the Grove.
Hi, folks. Warren Knox here of Knox Roofing. Here at Knox Roofing, we've roofed just about every type of house out there. Bird houses, bat houses, outhouses, cat houses, dog houses, steep roof houses, flat roof houses, lighthouses, fire houses, fish houses, smoke shop houses, island houses, tree houses, haunted houses, worn out houses, poor houses, and rich houses. The big house, you don't want to end up there. I'll stay on the roof, thank you. Bee houses. So whatever type of house you need a roof for, call Knox Roofing at 461-0634. That's 461-0634. Thanks, folks.
Hello? Hi, Grandma. How have you been? Oh, no, Grandma, not again. Sounds to me like you got hit with ransomware, Grandma. You see, Grandma, as you're looking through that celebrity article on the internet, suddenly you receive a dialog box saying they have control of your computer and you have to pay them to get control of the computer back. Am I right? Well, only one thing to do now. Take it to Peter and his friendly staff at User Friendly Computing. Let's face it, most of your computer problems these days start with the user being tricked into clicking on a link that contains a path to computer hell. User Friendly Computing will have you back on track fast. User Friendly Computing is locally owned at 505 River Street across from Gateway Plaza. Or you can give them a call at 831-423-9653. That's 831-423-9653.
Well, that's our program for today. I want to thank all of you for listening. I'm Bill Graff along with Nan Su and Amy Howe. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get so strident with one of our callers about the military, but I think our military can stand up on its own pretty well. I might be wrong. I'm going to read the report. We'll see what Mr. Cotton says in his report. But
well, not to forget, neither our military or our citizen is able to protect us from the kind of a biochemical warfare.
Oh, that's true.
Like a COVID. Like a COVID.
Oh, you mean like we did for the last year and a half?
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Thank you for listening. If you want to find out more about the show, China